I had a professor tell me something once that I'll never forget for the rest of my life. My fiance had just cheated on me. I was a mess, brother, a complete mess. I'm up all night smoking cigarettes, literally wanting her back. I'm rehearsing every conversation in my head where she comes back and I let her in. And I went to this professor after class, smart guy, he taught psychology. And I sat down across from him and I told him about the relationship. And he listened. And when I was done, he asked me one simple question. He said, "What do you get out of the relationship?" And I said, "Well, I'm not sure. Maybe companionship, maybe sex." And he looked at me and he said, without even blinking, "Well, why don't you get a dog and a hooker?" Now, I'll never forget that sentence because honestly, it was the slap in the face that I needed. And today I want to talk to you about infidelity right now. Not the surface version, not the she cheated so leave version. I'm talking about the real version. What is actually underneath the hood when it comes to infidelity? Why guys go back, why women stray, and what it costs a man when he loses his internal standard so completely that he almost takes back something that was never worth keeping in the first place. So I want to share with you my story and a framework that's going to help you break through, and it might be yours too. So let's drop in. So look, before I talk about my ex-fiance, I need to take you somewhere else first because you need to understand where I was before any of this actually happened. Who I was, what I was living in, all of it. Now, I made an entire documentary film on Amazon Prime. You can find it. It's called The Threshing Floor, but let me give you the cliff notes here. So I was in Los Angeles, and I mean that literally. I'm talking about an abandoned apartment building, roaches swiping them off me in the middle of the night, IV drug use, hepatitis C, depression that was literally so deep, I couldn't even see the walls of it. And here's what I want you to understand about this season that I was in. I wasn't in that place because of some bad luck. I was in that place because I had no relationship with myself. None, zero. The relationship I had with myself was toxic. Didn't value myself enough to protect myself. I abandoned, abused, rejected, and betrayed myself. Didn't respect myself enough to demand better. And I didn't know myself well enough to even recognize how far gone I actually was. And that's what self-destruction actually looks like from the inside. It doesn't feel dramatic. It doesn't even feel like a crisis until you're out of it. It feels like nothing, feels numb. Like this is just where I am and I don't really care enough to move from where I'm at. And I had a marriage during that season, believe it or not. And I'll tell you what I've told the brothers inside the academy. You can't protect what you don't value. You can't hold a standard in your marriage when you have no personal standard for yourself. See, the marriage that I had was a reflection of the man that I was. And that guy that was literally swiping cockroaches off himself in an abandoned building in Los Angeles, which by the way, I know it's hard to believe. This is a true story. I have no reason to fabricate this at all. I'm not trying to be dramatic. It was dramatic. That wasn't a marriage problem I had. That was a personal problem that affected my marriage. Okay, I want to say that again. You heard me say it before. You don't have marital problems. You have personal problems that affect your marriage. Now, I lived that sentence before I even ever taught it to anybody. God had to take me to the bottom before I could climb the ladder back up. Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for the good. Not some things, but all things, brother. Even Los Angeles, even the roaches, even the bottomless pit that I was in. So now let me fast forward a bit. God healed me from the addiction. He healed me from the hepatitis C with interferon treatment. He healed me from the depression. He did all that, not me. He did it with me with a system, people, processes, the right program, the right implementation pathway, and a heart that finally said, enough is enough. And I came out the other side by the grace of God and I built something. I built a life. I started to become somebody. I had a fiance at the time and she cheated on me. And brother, I want to be honest with you right now about what happened next, because this is the part that most guys don't want to say out loud when something like this happens. It's that I almost let her back in. And not because it was the right call, not because she had done some work, not because she was even sorry, and not because anything had changed, but because I lost enough self-respect that an empty relationship still felt like something worth holding on to. Now, you might know that feeling when something is clearly wrong, is clearly broken, clearly not what you deserve, and you know it. But you still sit there at 2 a.m. rehearsing the conversation where she comes back and you're in that trauma bond. That was me, up all night, literally smoking cigs, turning it over and over and over again in my mind, ruminating just the loneliness of it, the sting of it, the specific also humiliation element to it of being cheated on. And underneath all of it, there was a question that I still couldn't answer yet. And it's this: what do I actually have to offer? Because a man who knows what he has to offer doesn't sit at 2 a.m. trying to negotiate himself back into something that is clearly really unhealthy for him and counterproductive to the life that he desires. See, what I didn't know then is that a man that knows his worth makes a different calculation. But again, there I was. And I was still in what I call the borrowed mirror. I was still looking at myself through the lens of what I'd lost. I was still measuring my worth by whether or not she'd come back. And God, in his grace, put a man in front of me in that moment. So I had this psychology professor in college while I was becoming a licensed clinical counselor. And he was the kind of guy that did not waste words. And after class one day, I asked him if I could talk to him. And we sat down and I told him about the relationship, about her, about what happened, about where I was at. And he listened. And when I was done, he asked me one simple question. He said, "What do you get out of it?" And I thought about it. And honestly, I said, "I'm not sure, maybe companionship and sex?" And he looked at me dead in the eye and he said, "You ready for this? You might not like it, but here it is. Well, why don't you just get a dog and a hooker?" And honestly, I sat there for a second. Some people might think that's bad advice or bad feedback, but something in me shifted because he was absolutely right. When you stripped away the loneliness, when you stripped away my ego, when you stripped away the story that I was telling myself about what we magically had and the fantasy and the idealized relationship in my mind of what I wanted it to be, what was actually there? Well, companionship I couldn't trust, and connection that had already been given to somebody else. And you know better as well as I do, that's not a relationship. That's a habit, that's comfort. That's a man clinging to something familiar because familiar feels safer than empty. And you know what? God used that blunt psychology professor to show me what I was actually negotiating for. It was nothing. I was almost willing to hand myself back over nothing. And that right there was the wall. That was the moment that God said, enough. You don't get to stay here. You don't get to tolerate this anymore. And that night it ended. Something in me just decided, I'm going to find out what I actually have to offer and I'm going to become that man. And I remember looking at myself as I came out of the shower that day. I looked at myself in the mirror and I said, there is a woman out there ready and willing to find someone like you. You have options. And see, that came before the actual work. It was the standard that I set, the inside out rebuild that I was about to create and embark on. So I want to take a minute to talk to you right now about what infidelity is actually about, because the way most people talk about it is totally wrong. Most people make it about the act. She slept with someone. He slept with someone else. Like it's a crime. Like that act is what we're persecuting. And look, I totally understand that. Betrayal's real. I'm not negating that or minimizing it at all. The wound is real, but the act is never the beginning of the story. It's the middle of it. And if you only address the middle of it, you'll never solve the actual problem. So here's what I learned in 13 years of clinical work with thousands of men and their marriages. For men, infidelity is almost always about external validation. A man who's full on the inside doesn't need to go outside his marriage to feel like he's enough. But a man that's been running his whole life on performance-based love, who's built an identity on ultimately what he produces and what he earns and what other people think about him, that man right there has a hole in him that his wife can never fill, at least not the way she used to in the beginning. So guess what? Someone else is going to start filling that hole, not because his wife failed, but because he never built an internal source. He was always dependent on external proof that he was enough. His wife's admiration, his wife's desire, his wife's validation. And when the marriage got hard and she got real, the admiration faded into the dailiness of life. And he went looking for the feeling somewhere else. And look, that's not strength. That's a boy in a man's body still trying to earn enough love to feel like he's okay. Now, hear me out on the other side of this. For women, infidelity is almost always about safety and leadership. A woman doesn't leave a marriage emotionally because she stopped loving her husband. She leaves because she stopped feeling safe. She stopped feeling like there was a man in the house who had a direction, a purpose, a guy who could actually hold the weight, a guy who she could trust with her softness, who could hold frame and have healthy boundaries. But when a man abdicates, when he stops leading, when he gets passive, checked out, emotionally absent, or he just ignores the red flags in the beginning, like I did a lot of times, she starts looking, consciously or not, for the feeling of being led. And if someone else provides that for a moment, the door opens. And look, that's not an excuse. I want to be clear. The choice to cross that line is always a choice, always. But see, what we do is never as relevant as why we do it, why it happened. And if we want to know why it happened, we have to understand what was missing first. And see, what is missing is almost always a man who had done the work internally, because he hadn't. His work, his relationship with himself, because a man who knows who he is, he leads from that place. And when he doesn't, well, who provides safety and direction inside his home? See, his wife's not out there looking for what she already has. That's why the work is always the prerequisite. The work should not be a response to crisis. Like, oh, my marriage is in trouble, so now I need to do this work, because now you're performing and you're not transforming. So let me break down more of my story for you here in this visual. So in that season, with that abandoned building, with the roaches, with the IV drug use, hepatitis C, the depression, no relationship with myself, I couldn't protect what I didn't value. And what I didn't value was me. And in season 2, when she cheated and I was up all night smoking cigs, wanting her back, when I lost self-respect, when I was lonely, questioning my worth, guess what? A man who knows his worth makes a different decision. And of course, when I got that slap in the face that I needed, when he said, well, why don't you just get a dog and a hooker? That was the truth I needed to hear. So I listened. When he asked that one question, what do you get out of it? And he gave me the truth. It changed my perspective, because what did it do? It set me on a path, because truth from the right voice changes everything for us. And that became the turning point for me. The turning point for me was the choice to choose myself, to raise my standard, to build my life, to walk away, never look back, to become the man that I was called to be. Okay, why? Because the most traumatized version of us will always attract the most traumatized people. And the relationship that I had that was toxic was really the relationship I had with myself. Infidelity revealed. It's rarely about you. It's about her choices, her gaps, and her internal world. Don't personalize what happened. But here's the thing, your response, the cost isn't just what she did, it's what you accept after she does it. The standard, you gotta raise your standard, my brother. When you raise your standard internally, your life externally will match your new identity. And here's the win for you. Become the man who would never go back. That's the real freedom. Don't lower your standard. Keep something that already broke yours. Become the man who would never take it back. Now, let me be clear. What am I telling you to do? Never take your wife back? No. What I'm telling you is to never accept that low standard in the quality of the relationships that you truly want inside your life. Now, what's important to address right here is that so many guys, they want something in the external so they can feel better internal. Like, look, I just want my relationship to work, and I just want to have this kind of relationship, and I want to be with this type of person in order for me to feel this way. Okay, why is that dangerous? Because it puts you in a cycle of dependency, leaves you susceptible to codependency, and unfortunately, right, is you still living from the outside in and not the inside out. So let's talk about how to break this before we go to the ending, because I want to share something with you at the end. So let me introduce you to something called the Law of Reversibility, because it's important that you understand this when it comes to creating the life and relationships that you truly want and desire. And all I'm going to do is share for you what worked for me and what's working for hundreds of guys that we're working with right now inside the Total Breakthrough Academy. The traditional belief is that I'll act that way when I feel that way. So most people wait for a feeling. They wait to feel loved, respected, and connected in order to do the things, right? To act lovingly, lead, and communicate well that they believe that they have to feel in order for them to do. And they believe then the result would be having the relationship that they want, or the relationship they're currently in gets better. Okay, but the problem with that is that we wait for feelings that we can't control, and the cycle rarely just starts on its own. And you feel stuck. You're waiting on emotions and you're reacting, you're frustrated, and the relationship plateaus or declines an end. But see, the law of reversibility states, I'll act that way so I can feel that way. It's not I'll act that way when I feel that way. It's I'll act that way so I can feel that way. Instead of trying to think and feel your way into better behavior, you behave your way into better thoughts and better feelings. So you choose to act like a loving, grounded, trustworthy spouse, which produces the feeling. Those actions shape my mindset and my emotions when I do that. Because guess what? The other way of acting is have, do, be. If I have this, I can do these things and I can be this person, right? If I have the feeling, then I'll take the actions and that will then give me the results I want. Versus I'm going to take the actions, I'm going to be the person so I can do the things I want to do and have the results I want. And the result is the relationship improves and trust grows. Ultimately, the principle here is your repeated actions shape your state and your spouse's experience with. And ultimately, you create momentum, leading, loving, consistency. The relationship strengthens and deepens over time. So a lot of guys feel stuck because they're waiting on emotions, they're reacting, they're frustrated, and the relationship's stuck. But when you apply this daily, when you just become him, when you lead with integrity, communicate with curiosity, stay calm under pressure, pursue intentionally, follow through on your word, ultimately you create that momentum. So look, key takeaway here, stop waiting for the marriage you want before becoming the husband that you respect and admire. Your repeated actions become your identity, and your identity changes the relationship. A couple key things to remember here. You can't control your spouse, but you can control your character and responses. This is living from the inside out, not the outside in. This isn't about winning. It's about becoming the husband that you respect and admire. It's about self-confidence, self-esteem, and self-worth that is derived internally. Your actions today shape your marriage tomorrow. Remember that. So look, my brother, I want to leave you with this. I was in an abandoned building in Los Angeles, literally swiping cockroaches off myself. I was literally up all night trying to negotiate my way back into a relationship that had nothing left in it. And these are just two, right, of some pretty dark times in my life. I got more stories for other days, but that's beside the point. What I want to leave you with is that God used a short season in my life and a blunt man, one sentence that he gave me to help me never forget again what I was actually worth. Not what she thought I was worth, not what the situation or circumstances were saying that I was worth or what I was allowing them to say I was worth, but what I actually had to offer. And the day I started working on that question seriously, everything changed for me. Not the marriage, not the relationship, me, the man, this guy, you, the guy I'm talking to. And look, my brother, I want to tell you something. Whatever she did, whatever happened, whatever you're sitting in right now at 2 a.m. with a cigarette that you don't even really want to smoke, the question isn't whether or not she comes back. The question is who you're going to be when you wake up tomorrow, my brother. Because a man who truly knows what he has to offer, he doesn't negotiate himself into empty relationships. He builds something real, and he builds it with himself first. And then he builds it with whoever deserves to be inside that life with him. Look, man, you have something to offer, brother. Find out what it is. Build it, protect it. Never hand it over for nothing again. And if you need support on this, you know where to go. Just click one of the links in the bio. Connect with us. You can get on a free call with our team. We can give you our breakthrough diagnostic, and we can show you right now exactly where you're at, where the blind spots are, and whether or not you work with us, at least we can give you a pathway forward. Not tomorrow, but today. All right, brother. Hope this was helpful for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Love and respect. We'll see you in the next video.